Hey everybody, welcome to this week's De-JOE-tional. So I know I'm a couple days late. That's fine. I know I didn't do it last week. That's fine. We're all going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. I know you're probably anxiously waiting by your computer last week. It's sad that I didn't post anything. And I know you were probably anxiously waiting by your computer yesterday. It's sad that I didn't post anything, but here we are. We're going to continue with this. It's my favorite book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up. And it's one of my favorite chapters called You Are Not Special. Now, as you can tell by the title of the book, and as we've talked about a couple weeks ago, the author, Mark Manson, he titles these things to get your attention. And that's exactly what it did here because people are like, we're all special. Hey, we're all unique. We're all, yeah, okay. Hold your horses. Let's talk about this for a second. So sometime in the 1960s, the high self-esteem movement started. The high self-esteem movement was about everybody feel good about yourself. If you feel good about yourself, if you have high self-esteem, you're going to produce better, you're going to be more successful, you're going to be happier. That's when the participation trophy, everybody gets a trophy movement came out of that in the 70s. And now here we are, so at least a generation later, and the data is in. We are not all exceptional. It turns out that merely feeling good about yourself doesn't really mean anything unless you have a good reason to feel good about yourself. Adversity and failure are actually useful and even necessary for developing strong-minded and successful adults. The problem with the everybody gets a trophy movement is that you don't learn how to handle adversity and shortcomings and disappointment. You always think that everybody's out to get you. If something bad happens, it's not your fault. They're out to get you. So you can't really process it well. Then you become entitled. And entitled people feel as though you deserve good things without actually earning it. You should be rich without actually working for it. You should be liked and well-connected without actually helping anyone. You should have an amazing lifestyle without actually sacrificing anything. So entitlement is the belief that one is inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment without actually earning it. They just deserve to be treated special. So the problem with that, again, is that entitlement makes people need to feel good about themselves all the time. And it often comes at the expense of those around them. Let me go to this other page. So any attempt to reason with them, they see as a threat to their superiority. Or there's another person there that can't handle how smart and talented and good-looking, successful I am. They can't be reasoned with when they feel entitled because everybody should agree with them. Everybody should do what they say. Everybody should treat them special. People who feel entitled view every occurrence in their life as either an affirmation of or a threat to their own greatness. If something good happens to them, it's because of some amazing feat that they accomplished. If something bad happens, it's because somebody is jealous and trying to bring them down a notch. So that leads then to the tyranny of exceptionalism. Now, I'm going to give y'all a little hint here. I'm not exceptional at anything. I'm pretty good at several things, not so good at others. But I don't really. I'm kind of like the jack of all trades, master of none. You guys have heard that saying before? I'm pretty good at a lot of things, but I wouldn't say I'm great or fantastic or phenomenal at any particular thing. And the thing is, none of us are, or most of us, at least. Most of us are pretty average at the things we do. Even if you're exceptional at one thing, chances are you're average or below average at most other things. Why? Because you spend all your time and energy and resources being exceptional at that one thing that you end up failing at other things or not being as good at other things. We are all, for the most part, pretty average people. But it's the extremes that get all the publicity. Now, we talked about this in youth group. It's been a couple years now because of the pandemic. We started this and ended. Pandemic came, so we didn't really get into it too much. But we did talk about this, how the extremes get the publicity. And I asked the students to mention the smartest kids in their grade. Not just in their class, but in their grade. And they could all come up with couple names pretty easily. And then I asked them if they could think of somebody or some people that are always in trouble. The ones that like get a daily referral. They're always in detention or whatever. And they could easily come up with names of that. And then I asked them to give me a couple names of some average people. And that they had to think about. Why? Because the exceptional, the extremes get all the attention. The smart ones get all the attention for being smart, and the troublemakers get all the attention for being troublemakers. That the average people, which happens to be most of us, just kind of are. We just kind of function. We're just there, right? But our lives today are filled with information from the extremes of the bell curve of human experience. Because that, in the media, that's what gets eyeballs, and eyeballs bring dollars. So most of us aren't going to go to Gordon Moore Park and just watch a baseball game, right? Unless our kids or grandkids or somebody we know is playing. But we'll go see the Cardinals because they're professionals. But the bottom line is the vast majority of life resides in the humdrum middle. The vast majority of life is unextraordinary. It's indeed quite average. This flood of information, this flood of extreme information has conditioned us to believe that exceptionalism is the new normal. And because we're all quite average most of the time, the deluge of exceptional information drives us to feel pretty insecure and desperate because we clearly are somehow not good enough or bad enough. So the problem is that the pervasiveness of technology and mass marketing is screwing up a lot of people's expectations for themselves. The inundation of the exceptional makes people feel worse about themselves, makes them feel that they need to be more extreme, more radical, and more self-assured to get noticed or even mattered. So, we're all pretty normal. We're all pretty average. We might be pretty good at some things. We might be pretty bad at some things. But for the most part, we're all pretty average. This next section says, but if I'm not going to be special or extraordinary, what's the point? Love it. It's become an accepted part of our culture today to believe that we are all destined to do something truly extraordinary. Celebrities say it, business tycoons say it, politicians say it, pastors say it, parents say it, grandparents say it, everybody says it. Each and every one of us can be extraordinary. We all deserve greatness. The fact that this statement is inherently contradictory, because after all, if everyone was extraordinary, then by definition, no one would be extraordinary, right? You get that? So instead of questioning what we actually deserve or don't deserve, we eat the message up and ask for more. How can I be more exceptional? How can I be better? Being average has become the new standard of failure. The worst thing you can be is in the middle of the pack. When culture's standard of success is to be extraordinary, either good or bad, I could probably do it that way, it then becomes better to be at the extreme low end of the bell curve than to be in the middle, because at least you're still special and you're getting attention. Many people choose this strategy to prove that everyone that they are most miserable or the most oppressed or the most victimized. Woe is me, give me attention. A lot of people are afraid to accept mediocrity because they believe that if they accept it, they'll never achieve. A lot of people are afraid to accept mediocrity because they believe that if they accept it, they'll never achieve anything, never improve, and that their life won't matter. And this sort of thinking is dangerous. Once you accept the premise that a life is worthwhile only if it is truly notable and great, then you basically accept the fact that most of the human population, including yourself, is not good and is worthless. You get that? And this mindset can quickly turn dangerous to both yourself and others. As I said, most of us are in the middle. Most of us are average. And if average is a failure, then or if we consider average as a failure, then we consider most of us a failure. And that's a horrible way of thinking. You're never going to be happy with that way of thinking. So, to wrap up, the ticket to emotional health is accepting the fact, this bland and mundane truth. The vast majority of your life will be boring and not noteworthy, and that's okay. Once you realize that, then the constant pressure to be something amazing, to be the next big thing, will be lifted off your back. The stress and anxiety of always feeling inadequate and constantly needing to prove yourself will dissipate. And the knowledge and acceptance of your own mundane existence will actually free you to accomplish what you truly wish to accomplish without judgment or lofty expectations. You will have a growing appreciation for life's basic experiences, the pleasures of a simple friendship, creating something, helping a person in need, reading a good book, laughing with someone you care about. Sounds boring, doesn't it? That's because these things are ordinary. But maybe they're ordinary for a reason, because they are what actually matters. So, you're not special. You might have special qualities, you might have special moments, you might have special accomplishments. Great, awesome. But accept the fact that you, like most of the people, are just average. And that's okay. It's okay to live in the middle. That's the De-JOE-tional this week from Average Joe. Blessings, Godfrey first.